Hello homeschool moms. In this video I'm going to chat with you a little bit about what I plan on doing with my 4-year-old who will be turning 5 in November. In a previous video, it was actually where I shared with you all the curriculum choices that I had for my 2nd grader, 4th grader, 6th grader, and 8th grader. In that video, towards the end, I did mention that I was going to be doing something a little bit differently with my 4-year-old than I have done with my older kids when they were 4, almost 5. And I've had a lot of you ask, what did you used to do? What are you doing differently? And why are you doing things differently? So I thought I'd chat with you a little bit about that in this video. 5 of my 7 children have birthdays in the fall, October, November, which means when a new school year starts, they are still 4 years old. They're almost 5, but they're still 4. And I just felt like it was a little too early to start real formal academics, especially if they didn't have any interest in it. So what I did for most of them is really evaluate where they were at and if they were even interested in doing school at all. If they had no interest in doing school, I didn't worry about it. They could start when they were 5, almost 6. We'd start with kindergarten, and if they learned nothing in the informal academics type of stuff, it was okay, and they've done fine. Some of my kids were ready to learn. Some of them weren't. One of the things, though, that I did want to do is have stuff available so that when they did start showing an interest in doing some formal schoolwork, that I had stuff there ready for them. So one of the things that I did was purchase some just really cheap workbooks. I really like, oh gosh, the name left me. What is it? Rod and Staff. I really like the Rod and Staff preschool workbooks. They're super simple and super cheap and affordable. And so I could just have those on hand if my child wanted to join in the schoolwork with their older siblings. I could put that workbook out in front of them and they could do it. Sometimes I would assist them and we would do the page correctly, and other times they just scribble on it or cut it up or put stickers on it or whatever. They were kind of just practicing and getting familiar with sitting at a table and doing schoolwork and doing a workbook. So I did have workbooks available for them. The other thing that I did was I had a phonics program. Now, I didn't buy like a set phonics program for my 4-year-olds. I use the Spell to Write and Read program and with all of my kids, and that's something that you can use from little all the way up through high school for teaching phonics and spelling and reading. So I was just I'm familiar with that program. I would just slowly introduce the letters and how to write them and form them, and the phonogram sound, which is basically the sounds that the letters make. I just start introducing those when they showed interest and when opportunities arose. The other thing that I did was my older kids were learning a lot of stuff in a group. So I would have a 3rd grader and 1st grader studying history or science together. I'd be reading the lesson out loud. We'd be doing experiments. We'd be doing activities together as a family. So my 4-year-old, and then when they turned 5 as well, they would be joining in on those activities, those lessons that we were reading out loud, the science experiments. They'd be joining in on those when they wanted to. Sometimes they would go off and play. Sometimes they would sit and play next to us and absorb things. I never realized how much kids absorb just by sitting and playing and listening to what's going on around them. So they would be learning just through being around and being exposed to what I was doing with their older siblings. I would also try to incorporate some learning into daily life. We would talk about letters and their sounds when we saw them when we, on road signs or in books that we were reading. And that's another thing that I did. I just read to them. I read to them a lot. But I'd incorporate learning into what we were doing. Not all the time, but when I had the energy, when I had the time, when they had the interest. If we were outside, we'd count the leaves, we'd count the rocks. If I had a stick and I could write, we counted 4 rocks and I could write with that stick in the dirt the number 4 so they could see what the number 4 looked like. they could, the numeral 4, they could see actual 4 rocks, we could count them out. Those kind of things, I just incorporate those in. We'd sort laundry, they were learning to sort. We were playing Legos, we might talk about patterns, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue. I incorporated learning into their daily life and into the fun that we were having. This really seemed to be a great way to slowly ease my 4-year-old and eventually 5-year-olds into formal academics. They kind of, when they showed interest, we'd do a little bit more. When they were getting frustrated, I'd back off. And it was just really a fun, easy year for them. They really enjoyed sitting in on older siblings' lessons. They thought it was fun to be part of the family, and what we were doing as a family and learning together as a family. And so that's how I have done school for my 4 soon-to-be 5-year-olds. For all of those kids that have their birthdays in October and November, we just took a nice leisure approach, fun approach to learning and academics. And then when they were 5, almost 6, we would, for most of them, start formal academics with kindergarten, more of an official kindergarten curriculum. Now, I have had a few children that were not ready, even then, 5, almost 6, were not ready for formal academics. And so for kindergarten, again, we just stuck to focusing on basic math skills and phonics, an introduction to phonics, try to make it as fun as possible, incorporate it into our daily life as much as possible. And we really started, with one particular child, we started more rigorous, not rigorous, what am I doing, kidding myself, not rigorous, but more formal academics in what I would consider their first grade year. Some kids, like I said, were ready for more formal academics in that kindergarten year, but again, they were 5, almost 6. So for my kids that were 4, turning 5 in the fall, really just low-key, move at their pace, let them join us when they wanted to. That is what I have done in the past. Here's why I'm doing something a little bit differently this coming year for my 4, almost 5-year-old. First of all, the one thing I am keeping the same is I am going to have things available. I'm going to have workbooks for him to do. I already have the Rod and Staff workbooks. He's already been working through them this last year when he feels like it, which maybe is like once every 2-3 weeks. I mean, really, that's his interest. So we have those. I have those available. We'll continue to keep those on hand, and as he shows interest, we'll do them, and if he doesn't, we won't do them. So that will be the same. The other thing is I will continue to do the phonics program with him as he shows interest, as I have time. I'll continue to work with him on that. We've already been doing that a little bit this past year. Again, not very often because he hasn't shown a whole lot of interest for most of the year. But here's the thing. Now he is starting to show more interest in learning. He's asking to do school. He wants to do school with me. His attention span is better. He can sit at the table a little bit longer and focus on doing an activity or sit with me and work on something. So he is starting to have more of an interest in it. Here's the problem though. Number one, most of my kids, like I said, the younger ones were learning as their siblings were learning because we were doing a lot of group family learning. We are not doing that right now. We didn't do that last year, and we're not going to be doing that this coming school year. All of my older kids are going to be really working independently for the most part. I mean, obviously I'm helping them, I'm teaching them some things, but we're not doing any, group history lessons or science lessons or things like that. And so my poor little guy isn't going to be sitting in on our lessons and learning just, while he's hearing things and being exposed to things. He's not being exposed to those things because we're not learning as a family this next year. And so that's one reason that I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently. The second reason I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently is if I just be honest with you, I'm kind of tired. I mean, this is my 15th year homeschooling. For 15 years, I have been trying to incorporate learning into our everyday life and making things fun for my little ones. And I kind of just need a break. I just don't have the creativity or the excitement anymore to do that. I hope I do in the future. If I take a little break this coming school year, I hope that I will have that excitement come back in years to come, because I do have another little one as well, a 2-year-old right now. But I just plain am tired, and I just don't have the brain power to be creative and incorporate all this learning. When my little guy, the 4-year-old is outside, or even my 2-year-old, when they're outside playing, I like interacting with them. If they're playing rocks and stacking rocks, I want to be there and help them stack rocks. But I don't want to be also thinking, how can I make this into a learning opportunity? Can we count the rocks? Can I write the number 4? I just don't have that in me right now. I'm just being honest. I don't have that in me. Yet, my 4-year-old seems to be really interested and ready to learn all of those things. Well, if he's not getting it during, he's not getting exposure during our family learning, because we're not doing family learning. My older kids are working independently. And if I don't really have the motivation and brain power and energy and creativity to really incorporate learning into just the things that we're doing in everyday life, I feel like all I've got for him is some phonics step lessons that we'll do sporadically and workbooks. And workbooks just aren't always that fun when you're 4 years old. Some of my 4-year-olds like workbooks, but he's just not a big workbook person. He can sit and do it for a little bit, but he doesn't want to do it day in and day out. And so because of all of that, I've decided to change things up a little bit and do something a little bit differently, try something completely new. So here is what we are going to do. I got my little guy the K4 BJU Press distance learning videos. I just ordered them a couple days ago, so they'll be coming in the mail. I actually chose to do the DVDs because when you do it online, you don't get access till July 1st. And I wanted him to start as soon as possible because why not? I mean, really, why not? He's ready. He is like towards the, later end of 4. I mean, he is going to be 5 in November. So I feel like if I waited, then the K4 might be a little bit below him. I feel like right now it's just at a good point. It'll start off easy, and I think it'll eventually move at his pace that he is at. Why did I pick BJU Press distance learning K4 videos? Well, first of all, I could have picked any other curriculum, but I would have had to teach it. And like I said, I just don't have it in me. I don't have it in me to do something else. For me, 4-year-old, 5-year-olds, they don't have to have formal academics. That's just my personal opinion. They don't have to have it. They will be just fine if you start when they're 5, 6, even wait until they're 7. They will be okay. They need exposure to things. You need to be talking about, letters and their sounds and numbers and, you need to be talking about things. But formal academics can wait till they're 5 or 6. So if I'm going to invest my time in something next year, it's going to be in my older kids. I have some children who still need some extra work in, getting reading and spelling down. I have an 8th grader who's going to be doing some harder work, coursework this next year. And so I want to make sure that I have the time to invest in helping her. So I just feel like for me, I don't want to get a 4-year-old or 5-year-old pre-K, K, whatever curriculum that I have to teach, because then all my time would be going to that instead of being able to help and spread it out over my older children. Secondly, the time that I do have, I want to be working with my 4-year-old, soon to be 5-year-old, on phonics stuff and just having fun. Like, I just want to play with him. And my 2-year-old, I just want to play with them. If I have free time, I want to play with them and enjoy being with them. Not saying, hey, the only time you get to spend with mommy is when we sit down and do this schoolwork. So I want him to be learning, but I don't want to be taking that, the small amount of time that I do have to spend with him. I don't want to be spending all that doing school. I want to be doing some fun stuff. And my time, I do have 7 children. My time for each child is limited. And I just feel like it's a better investment of my time for my 4-year-old to spend doing fun things with him and playing with him, and then really working on phonics when I have time. Also, my 4-year-old loves the BJU Press videos. He will literally put earbuds in and watch his older siblings' videos, and he's been begging me, when do I get to do real school and get the videos? So hello, they have a K4 video. Why not let him watch that? We also got to watch, I got to watch a whole one whole lesson of the K4. It's an hour long. And I thought, oh my goodness, a whole hour that he's going to sit and watch TV. But I was super impressed with it. He watched it with me and he loved it. They break it up into like 10, 15-minute segments. And at the end of one segment, they tell them, like, they can pause the program, they can go off and play or do something, or if they want to, they can pick it back up. They even have kind of like a PE exercise time in the middle of that hour for them to actually move their bodies. So it's not just staring at the TV and learning things, but they are actually doing some movement activity as well. So I just think for all those reasons, it was just a really good fit for him and for our family. The other thing is that there's about an hour each day when my 2-year-old is napping that my 4-year-old also used to nap, and I was able to devote some really focused time, school time with my older children. Well, my 4-year-old is outgrowing naps. Oh, don't you hate that? Don't you wish they could just nap forever? And you could always just have this nice 1, 2, 3 hour break in the day as moms, and the kids are all napping, and you just have this peace and quiet. Yeah, that's not reality. So he has outgrown his naps. Maybe once or twice a week he'll take a nap, but he's outgrown them for the most part. But I still need that time with my older kids, that focused time where I can help them. And so since my 4-year-old hasn't been taking naps, I've been putting him in front of the TV for 20, 30, 40, sometimes a whole hour while I am helping my older kids and with things that they are struggling with or whatever they need my help with. And so I figure if he's already in front of the TV, why not give him something that he's been asking for, that I know he'll enjoy, and that's educational. Like, he's actually going to be learning. He's going to be learning math, and he's going to be learning phonics and all kinds of other topics. I just thought it's a win-win for everybody. He's excited about it, gives me focused time with my older kids, and he's going to be learning a lot of things that I might not have the time or energy to teach him, but he's ready to learn. And I really enjoy BJU Press videos, their distance learning program. I've done other videos about that, but I just think that they're excellent programs. Now, I think their K4 is outdated. Yes, it is. It's a little outdated, but for our family, that is not a big deal at all. We are used to watching Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. That's usually what my kids end up watching, and that is definitely old school. So they're used to that. I had, like I said, I had my son watch an hour of the videos, video lesson with me, and he loved them. So he's super excited. So that is what we're doing differently this year. This is the first time ever that I have bought my 4-year-old, soon to be 5-year-old, an official curriculum. And of course, this curriculum is online, or not online, it's video, and we're doing the DVDs. So this is going to be totally new to me. I've never invested this kind of money in a 4-year-old for school, because again, I said I don't really think it's necessary. If it's something that you're excited about doing and your kid's excited about doing, yeah, absolutely. If you want to buy curriculum, use it. But for my family, I've always had so many other kids that we have to invest in their education. It's like the 4-year-old, it's just not important for us to put our money into that. Not necessary for me to pour all of my time and energy into that, but he's ready. And I think it's just going to be a good fit for our family and for him this coming school year. So I'm really excited about it. He's excited about it. I will keep you posted, let you know what we think of the K4 program from BJU Press, what he thinks of it. And, maybe I'll do a review at the end of the year. If you'd like a full review of the BJU Press K4 distance learning program, let me know, and I will try to add that to my list of reviews at the end of this school year. So anyways, I think I should just wrap this up. I could probably just chat about preschool and pre-K and kindergarten forever because I got a lot of thoughts on that, but I will wrap this video up. But I will let you know that I did do a whole blog post series on preschool. So I know my 4, almost 5-year-old is kind of more in that pre-K, not really preschool anymore, but I did do a whole blog series on homeschooling the preschooler. What do you do? What about curriculum and all that kind of stuff? So I will link to that down below if you're interested in that. Thank you so much for watching and letting me just chat with you about what my plans are for my 4-year-old in the coming school year. I will see you again really soon in another video. Bye-bye.